respond to that?
Well, first of all, when the rich young ruler showed up, and he said, you know, what you need to do is take the things that you have to sell it, and then come and follow me. It was about loving God with your stuff. If you keep reading down a couple more scriptures, it says, and he received 100-fold everything that he gave, everything that he sold. So we talk about, you know, is it impossible for rich people to get into heaven? You know, that's not the truth. You know, rich people are going to go to heaven just like average people. The issue there is, will you be willing to take your things and share it with other people? Again, we can't assume just because you have some things that you automatically are not sharing with the people who need it. We invest in people's lives, not only in our community, but all around the world.
One other thought about the prosperity gospel, and the president of Morehouse was quoted when he was talking about you and the prosperity gospel, that this movement is a threat to the historical legacy and core values of the contemporary black church tradition.
He and I had a chance to meet about 3 weeks ago, and we sat down and had a great conversation, and we both agree that when most people hear prosperity, they instantly think money. But prosperity, they're not incorrect, but they're incomplete. Prosperity is more than just money. We're talking about prospering people in their marriage, in their relationships. We're talking about prospering people in their emotions. And one of the things he and I talked about was the importance of trying to come together and prosper these young men on his college campus and go back to some of the grassroots things to begin to help these guys to understand what it means to be a man. So because of his book, it brought us together to begin to talk about how can we use what we have in our ministry and what he has on his campus to begin to prosper those young men that are on campus.
I have one last thing that I want to ask. And even public and private businesses are accountable to the government and to the people. Fortune 500 companies,
sure,
multi-million, billion-dollar companies that are private as well. What makes you think that you are any different, or mega churches are any different in any way than any of these other companies or businesses?
Well, we're not. We have an audit every year done on our entire ministry. We also report employee taxes or payroll taxes. We're responsible for sales taxes on items that you purchase in the state of Georgia. So we're not saying that we should not be accountable. In fact, we are very accountable. We have to follow and comply with the IRS regulations, and it's very important that you understand that the same goal that the senator has, we have the exact same goal. We want people to feel comfortable about their donations and their gifts that they give, and to be able to know that it's being used for that purpose. I think a miscalculated assumption as well is that you immediately think, well, the preacher used the money of the church to get it. Nobody ever thought about, well, maybe he had another business. Maybe he used his own money with his intellectual property. Maybe he got a great contract with a book. That needs to be put in consideration as well. And I think if we can get more of the information together, we can add more balance so we won't be just one-sided.
Well, let me ask you about that balance, Reverend, because, you know, you talk about the fact that you've got these other businesses. You've been quoted before, real estate, sure, and other businesses. But how did you get the money for those businesses? I mean, I know you talk about growing up in the ghetto in College Park. You had no money. I used to be a therapist before
I went to full-time ministry. $150 an hour.
I'll tell you, okay, so you made a lot of money as a therapist.
You know, $150 an hour to sit there and listen to people, and you know, you save. You've been in this for almost 30 years, and so if you invest properly, if you save properly, if you manage your money properly, then you know you're able to do some things with it.
One question too, with regard to Senator Grassley, he said that one reason he's investigating you is because you were raising $1 million to give to another minister, Kenneth Copeland, to celebrate 40 years of ministry. Why would anybody need $1 million to celebrate 40 years of ministry?
Because we believe in the Word of God that it is honorable to honor men of God who have done so much, that we have the opportunity to practice what we believe. Nobody can say you don't have a right to believe in prosperity, or you don't have a right to believe in healing. But because of the First Amendment, we have the opportunity to take what we believe in the Word of God, and we believe in strongly honoring these men of God.
You think Jesus Christ would have rolled around in a Rolls Royce?
I think he would have. He rode around on a donkey that no man ever rode.
Don, final thoughts?
I'm out. No, my final thoughts is that when there are so many poor people and people of need who give to ministries and mega churches. I think that this is a good thing that Grassley is doing, if not just to look at it. I don't know what his motives are, but just to look at that. And you would have to, someone who is an intelligent person, look at this and say, if you're riding around in a Rolls Royce and in jets, and people who, again, are poor and don't have those means and can't afford certain things, you understand where the public outcry comes from and why people want to look at your finances.
But we also understand that we have a ministry to the poor and those people as well. They're not being neglected.
And you can't give more. There are people who are, though. It seems like you could give more, even more so, with all the wealth that you have.
It would blow your mind if you knew how much money we gave per year to those
I don't doubt that. I really don't. But I'm saying with so much profit, it seems like some of that profit can go
it's not as much as you think. You know, for example, I mean, there's sometimes we actually don't meet our budget to be able to do some of the things that need to be done. But there's one thing that we do. It's not like...
So if you don't meet the budget, then why do they approve to buy Rolls Royce?
Yeah.
Well, again, I didn't approve it. The donors got together and did something that I didn't know about. And when I found out about it, I said, I don't want this personally. Let's keep it in the possession of the church so that when you get ready to sell it, then that money comes back to the church. You got to understand, they believe in honoring their pastor. I'm coming in from South Africa, and boom, I'm just as surprised as anybody.
Yeah.
You say we'll be blown away by the numbers that you give to your charities. Will you make that public as Senator Grassley comes forward and asks for these documentations? Will you say we give X amount to this charity, X amount to this charity?
We've already done that. In fact, I left a document with the very man you talked about from Morehouse of the amount of money that we have given thus far in ministering to people in the community.
And you asked my final thoughts. I do have to say this because we have to move on.
Yes.
We asked everyone involved in this to come out and to have the opportunity to be interviewed on CNN.
You're the only one.
You're the only one. So I thank you for being candid.
You're welcome,
and
sir.
Thank you for coming on
Appreciate
CNN
it.
today.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
And we're going to be talking live with Senator Charles Grassley on his probe of the megachurch's finances. He's going to join us in the 3 o'clock Eastern hour right here in the CNN News.